This is a Don, Tony, and Kevin Castle Show Quick Fix on Radio Influence.
The Fabulous Freebirds are inducted to 2016 WWE Hall of Fame. I'm very happy for Michael P.S. Hayes. If anybody out there is going to meet
Jimmy Garvin is getting inducted too.
Yeah, Jimmy Jam Garvin, who is alive, did it. The only two people alive because Buddy Roberts unfortunately passed away a couple of years ago, and Terry Bam Bam Gordy died, even farther back. What?
About 15 years ago, Gordy died?
Yeah, it's got to be 10, 15 years ago.
Well, and also, Kevin Von Erich is inducting them, by the way. Kevin's already leaked that out a few times.
Yeah. So let's spend a couple of minutes quick about the Fabulous Freebirds history, and then this will lead into the clip I wanted to share with everybody.
Okay.
All right. Fabulous Freebirds, for any young fans out there that do not know the history, if you are curious, go on YouTube, go on the WWE Network, and look at the Fabulous Freebirds from, 1980? 1980. Well, if you really want to...
actually, 79. They actually came out in Mid-South at around 79, 80.
But they really peaked, I would say, around 83.
I wouldn't say they peaked in 83. Probably no, because then 84, 85. No, because they even came to WWE briefly in 85 with Cyndi Lauper. It never made TV because of contractual stuff, and then they went back to World Class. So, no, their heyday was 82, 83, 84, 85, up to about 86. 87 is when Terry started going to Japan a lot and started getting some big payoffs there, and then stopped coming back at one point. And then Michael and Buddy had to go out, stay by themselves. And then, as you know the story, by around 89, Terry was just happy in Japan, didn't want to come back, and Michael had to pick up Jimmy Jam Garvin as his new partner.
Now, let me ask you this. Why are all four members of the Fabulous Freebirds going into the Hall of Fame?
Well, they all deserve to be in the Hall of Fame.
I agree with you, but let's...
as a unit, the Freebirds were a threesome, that's true, but Jimmy Garvin was always an honorary Freebird from 83 and on, actually even 82. If anybody knows Jimmy Garvin, Jimmy Garvin, wouldn't say he was a male stripper character. That's not really what he was, even though he wore the Chippendales tie and he danced and acted silly. He was a great promo cutter. It's Ron Garvin's half-brother. Hands of Stone, Ronnie Garvin's his older brother. I believe they have the same dad or same mom. They're half brothers.
Yeah, but that's
but two completely different guys. They don't even look alike. One has a Canadian accent, Ronnie Garvin, and Jimmy, grew up in the States, in the South. But Jimmy Garvin was the first guy, and granted, Gorgeous George did it, Buddy Rogers did it. I get it. Primping his hair. I never seen anybody hairspraying their hair. Gorgeous George did do it in the 50s, but the first real valet, right, Don Tony, that got national exposure, Precious and Sunshine.
Yeah, but, why are they going in the Hall of Fame? You know what I mean?
Because that's a Hall of Fame career.
Right, but we didn't even talk about their career.
Pioneers in music, bringing entrance music into wrestling with, of course, Leonard Skinner being played in 79, 80, 81 for the Freebirds, Jimmy Garvin using Sharp Dressed Man in 83. And by the end of 83, everybody was World Class and Mid-South were absolutely single-handedly responsible for entrance music for wrestlers. Whether it was, even Junkyard Dog was using Atomic Dog by George Clinton in 1982. So, the South really was ahead of the Northeast at that point. And the Freebirds cultivated that whole thing. And the six-man tag, they brought that into effect. Freebird rules, where multiple guys can defend the title. It's setting trends and setting rules and regulations in the business. Right, that's Hall of Fame.
What about their feud with the Von Erichs? Their feuds with the Road Warriors that they sold out 40.
Feud that made the cover of every national wrestling magazine, including the ones in the Northeast where people didn't even get the TV to see this stuff. They were on the cover of every fucking magazine, selling out Texas stadiums, selling out all over the state of Texas. Getting national TV stories where there would be one of the Von Erichs. Wrestling was actually covered in sports, like when they had, we used to have Warner Wolf, who used to cover wrestling, but they would cover it in Texas in the news on sports with the Von Erichs and the Freebirds, like it was a real legitimate thing. Now, granted, there was total, as they say, it was total kayfabe back then, But they took it very seriously, and they did, great business and made Fritz von Erich a millionaire.
The Freebirds would start riots in Texas because of them attacking the Von Erichs. The Freebirds for years
started the whole Georgia-Texas thing. I mean, look, there was always a feud between the college football teams, but the Von Erichs and Freebirds, I mean, literally, you had people drive up from Atlanta people were fighting over them in the stands. I mean, and granted, like I said, back then I was 12, 13 years old. I was a kid myself, so I thought it was real too when I was in wrestling magazines and see, Terry Gordy with a belt around Kevin Von Erich's neck. And like, you would even think, how could this be on the cover of a magazine? Like, this is crazy.
Right.
They were the pioneers for so many things. Michael Hayes' promo cutting ability, Jimmy Garvin's promo cutting ability. Terry Gordy and Buddy Jack Roberts, not as much, but boy, could those two guys sell. They had everything, a team, everything that you could think of, a charisma. One guy was a badass, Terry Gordy, legit tough guy. Buddy Roberts psychologically was a great wrestler. Michael Hayes had the swagger. Just go up and down the line. It's everything. When you think, total package, none of them. Here's the only thing: none of them had a great physique. If you want to nitpick, right, Don Tony?
Yeah.
If you want to nitpick.
No, I agree.
That's about it. None of them were dieseled or jacked up. They were on Jack Daniels.
The Don Tony and Kevin Castle Show can be found on iTunes, Stitcher, and RadioInfluence.com.